Good evening. I would like to call the City of Mount Vernon City Council meeting for August 28th, 2024 to order. Would you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is the roll call of council members. I'll ask the city clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Beaton?
Here.
Councilmember Brocksmith?
Here.
Councilmember Correas?
Here.
Councilmember Hudson?
Here.
Councilmember Molinar?
Here.
Councilmember Tessero?
Here.
Councilmember Vanderstoop?
Is excused tonight. Item 2 is the approval of tonight's council meeting agenda. Any proposed changes to the agenda, or do we want to adopt?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Melissa, second by Mary. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion passes. All right, item 3 tonight is community comments. If there's anyone present in council chambers tonight that would like to address council, please come on up to the podium. Anyone here for community comments? There's one. Please state your name, city of residence, and please limit your comments to about 3 to 5 minutes. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, and staff. I'm Marian Myers of Mount Vernon, Washington, Cedar Heights Development, which contains a regional stormwater system of a detention pond and a quarter-mile-long grass and rock-lined drainage facility swale. I've been speaking since February at the City Council meetings, community comments segments regarding the city's lack of maintenance and repair of the drainage facility. I want to thank the Reese Council for listening to my concerns. And after I spoke at the March 13th, 2024 meeting during council member comments, Councilmember Richard Brocksmith and Navor Tessero addressed my concerns to the City Public Works Department that included the eroding upstream rock-lined section of the drainage facility swale. Their comments resulted in the city contracting out work to E&E Contracting for rip-rap rock repair of the eroded upstream section on August 5th and 6th. Tonight I'm here to personally thank Councilmember Richard Brocksmith and Navor Tessero. The rip-rock repair work done by E&E Contracting and their crew is superb, and it would never have happened without you two choosing to become involved. And when Councilmember Brocksmith and me met me in April to walk and assess the damaged drainage facility, I told him what I'm saying to both of you now. I don't know what made you want to take this job, but thank you from the bottom of my heart. This town needs you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council tonight? Let's come on up.
Can I give these pictures to someone?
You can hand those to the city clerk.
I have actually 2 issues in here. One is that the trailer court on the 25th Street it asks for permission to add more trailers. Okay. They don't have a place to park their cars, so they park the cars. All the street, both sides are completely plugged up with cars, to the point that there's some people that they don't have a place to put their own cars, so they put it right on the driveway, and plugging up the sidewalk. Some of those cars, a lot of those cars, they never move. They just got them in there. There's a pickup, a red pickup that's got a Sport on the side that is in that picture. That one not even have a drive line. It's just parked there. It's been there for about 3 weeks already. And also the main concern on this is the park. It took me about 14 years begging the city to fix the park for the kids in there and everything. So they finally did it. And now my word is worse, because the kids, as soon as they get out of school, they go in there and play from the park, trailer park, and when they finish playing or they want to go home, sometimes they just get off the swing or the slide or whatever they're doing and run in the street and go across the street without looking for cars or anything. And unfortunately, right there where the park starts, it's a curve. Okay, so and a lot of people is running for the way that the street is set, they're running pretty fast. They're not going less than 30 miles an hour. And like I said, if one of the kids go across the street in there, it's just gonna, it's gonna run over, you know. And so I don't know what, you know, what, can the city do something about that? Because it's, like I said, they fixed a nice park, and they're really nice. Really appreciate that, but now they didn't put any sign or anything. There's kids crossing the road or anything, so the cars, they just sweep along the way in there. And like I said, the trailer park, they not even attempt to do anything practically. I think they're trying to put some more trailers in there. They're not worrying about what's going on the outside. They just worry about they want some more money. And I mean, they should fix a parking area for their own customers instead, you know. And then if they still have a room, then they can do the trailers. But I think that's the way I'm thinking.
Sir, thank you for sharing your concern with us. We're going to go out and take a look at it, but I want to make sure that we have your contact information so we can follow up with you.
Yes.
When we do that. Would that be okay?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. If you could talk with Becky whenever you're finished, or I didn't mean to cut you off if you weren't done with your comments.
No,
Okay.
I'm done. That's all
Okay.
I wanted to say. I just want to bring to the attention of the city of that issue, because, see, when I was pushing for the park, it was, you know, I was thinking real positive for the kids in there. And now my words is getting worse, because it's, you know, it's just something, a car is going to run over a kid in here real easy. And that's why I thought about coming and talk to you guys about it. Hope the city can do something about it.
We're glad you came. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for community comments tonight? All right. Item 4 is tonight's consent agenda. It includes meeting minutes, payroll checks, wire transfers, claims, and 2 agreements. Would council like to move for adoption of the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Gary, a second by Melissa. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. The consent agenda is approved. And we'll go on to reports. Committee reports tonight. I think we had the Finance and Parks Committee meeting tonight at 6 p.m. and Councilmember Hudson has this recap.
Thank you, Mayor. Like the mayor said, we met tonight at 6 o'clock here in these chambers, and the first thing we always do is approve our last meeting minutes, and then we moved into our reports from our directors. The first one was Director Jennifer Berner from Parks and Enrichment, and she turned it over basically to 3 of her staff, which was really an exciting presentation about the summer projects that we've had through our Parks and Enrichments department this summer. The first gal who talked to us, Brooke, she's the rec coordinator, and she does a lot of the environmental and nature programming. I wish everyone could hear what they have to say, because they're so passionate and so happy and just so proud of what they've accomplished. She was talking to us about one of the things that stuck out to me was one of the young campers, I'm going to call them campers, had a wasp sting, and they've been learning about medicinal plants and stuff that is in nature that you can help each other with. And so she asked, who knows what the plant is that can help this person with their wasp sting? And some little person knew the answer and ran and got some and was able to apply it to this young person's arm, and everything was good. And it was just so exciting that they learned they learned about the plants and they learned how to use them and they were able to help another person. So it was just very uplifting to me. I just loved hearing those kind of stories. Then we moved on to David, and he does the supervised playgrounds. David's a man actually lives and works in Oak Harbor, and he comes over here during the summer. He's a teacher, so he comes over here during the summer to volunteer or to work with our supervised playground. And he was so effusive about his praise for what we've done in the city and be able to offer these programs for free. He's trying to get the city of Oak Harbor to mimic what we're doing because he's just so happy with what he's able to do with these kids. It's it made you feel good about what he had to say. He was just so happy to be here and is coming back next year because he just loves it so much. So that was a nice presentation. Then the third person we had was Mandy, and she does the Rec to Go, and she also does the Skyhawks program. So the Rec to Go program, they actually go to different like apartment complexes that are maybe not so centrally located to an actual park, one of our parks in the city. They bring equipment or games for the kids to play, and it's just the kids just get out and play, and then they make friends with somebody. Maybe they didn't know their neighbor or the other kid in the next door apartment, and they just have these connections that they make, and they're just having a ball. One day a week, they're out there playing with these people, and then they have a connection for maybe that person's going to go to school with them. So I have a new friend. So it brings them out into the community and just helps them with their socialization and making friends. And I just think what they're doing is absolutely amazing. She said for the Skyhawks, there were 27 camps and 377 kids that participated this summer. So that's pretty amazing when you think about it, and it just keeps growing every year. So that was a really great presentation. Like I said, I wish everybody could see how proud they are of what they do and how happy they are to be here and doing it. Next, we went into the really exciting presentation by our finance director, Doug Valesky. The first thing, well, we know that budget season is coming really quickly, and the first thing we always review are our fiscal policies. The first, it's revenue, expenditures, reserve, and debt management. So every year when budget season is starting to roll in, we always get a presentation to talk about our fiscal policies. So that's where we started tonight, had our first reading, if you will, and reminder of the fiscal policies of the city. And then we talked a little bit about the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, which we received, I think it's 4% of a sales tax to help events in our community that will actually bring more people into the city, and hoping for more people staying in our hotels and motels. And so we talked about the makeup of the committee, and we're trying to brainstorm some ideas to fill maybe a couple of vacant spots that we've got. That was basically the gist of our finance committee, because we will be knee-deep into budget pretty soon, where we will be talking about the finance committee every week. And seriously, if you have an interest in that, you're more than welcome. Our meetings are open. If you want to come down and listen to the presentations for budget season, please feel free. Every Wednesday, we're going to be here starting at 6 o'clock, and we'll begin talking about budget for quite a while. Finally, our city attorney did a presentation for us on a possible purchasing policy update. We didn't have a lot of time to give him this evening, but we talked about a lot of different things that we feel that probably need some updates. They haven't been updated for quite a while in the city for our purchasing policies. So with that, we actually adjourned our meeting at 7:01.
Thanks, Mary. We also had our Development Services Committee last Wednesday, August 21st, and Councilmember Brock Smith chairs that committee and has a report for us tonight. Councilmember Brock Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. The committee met here in these chambers August 21st at 6 p.m. Of course, we always approve our notes first thing, and second, our Development Services Director, Stacy Pratchner, walked us through our monthly report. We took a moment to talk about the next steps for completing final regulations on accessory dwelling units and parking both topics that we've recently passed interim regulations to make improvements on in the city, and so make sure we know the process there, of what it's going to take to finish up those development regulations. Next, we had a presentation from two staff members who make up our GIS team. GIS is Geographic Information System, essentially mapping experts using new digital technology, and they gave us some great examples of some of the programs they're working on. For instance, programs that track graffiti and graffiti abatement in the city of Mount Vernon, and really improve efficiency and our ability to get to those issues quickly. Also, another example was pre-incident planning, where the city is trying to take information about building facilities and safety hazards and safety equipment, and putting that into a GIS system so that our first responders have better information as quickly as possible when they're responding in emergency incidents. So it was a great presentation. There's Dr. Cynthia Rivas and Allison Lovick are the two employees. And they're also working on making better or expanding inclusion with including other languages in our mapping products for our community to have better access to those products online. We had a couple other topics as well. Stacy presented us with the draft countywide planning policies that have been developed through SCOG, the Skagit Council of Governments, and their one of their GMA steering committees. That's a set of documents that really guide cities and county in working together and what those planning policies ought to be for the comprehensive plan that looks at the next 20 years. We have an opportunity as a city to provide comments, and as a community to provide comments on those countywide planning policies. Of course, they're owned by the county and they'll be approved by the county. I think she said December of this year was their timeline. There are some changes that have been proposed to the countywide planning policies. Two of them come directly from recent state legislation that's been enacted that's requiring us to update housing allocations based on the area median incomes to make sure that we have housing and housing strategies appropriate for all income levels in our city. And the second one is climate change and resiliency analysis that all jurisdictions are required to do. As far as the housing updates in the countywide planning policies, we'll looking at incorporating new housing capacity analyses, new monitoring and reporting requirements for how well we're doing in meeting our housing requirements, what's been developed, and also policy for multi-jurisdictional affordable housing program and strategy development for that range of income bands. So some interesting work ahead of us. And then on the climate change and resiliency analysis, that's going to help us adapt to and mitigate the effects of changing climate. And there's a lot of information in there for folks to look at if you're interested in that. Make one more observation of some of the changes being proposed at the countywide planning policies is that now and I think we're all excited about an enhanced set of guidance around multimodal planning. And what does that mean? That means not just vehicles, but also pedestrians and bicycles, and thinking about a regional network of active transportation facilities that's being proposed through those countywide planning policies. Finally, we discussed briefly how we will start working on our own comprehensive plan updates. There had been a proposal for a retreat to do some more intensive planning with the city's planning commission. I think we set that aside as far as Saturday retreat kind of thing until a little bit later in the planning season, and instead agreed to, I think we're heading towards having some extended Wednesday evening meetings for the Development Services Committee. We'll be looking initially at the vision statement for the comprehensive plan and starting to look at the public participation program so that the public has full access and awareness of some of the policy changes that are being discussed and has an opportunity to help shape and guide those. And that's kind of on our agenda for the next set of meetings. And if we need a retreat, we will certainly take a Saturday or two to do that when the time's right. I didn't write down when we adjourned our meeting, but that's the full meeting, Mayor. Thank you for the time.
I know we adjourned. Thank you, Richard. Item 5B, council member comments. Any council member comments tonight? All right. We will jump to 5C. It's the mayor's report. And really just a couple of announcements for you tonight. The first is an invitation to for the public to stop by what will soon be referred to as the old library. We'll be offering an opportunity to drop in between 3 and 6 next Wednesday, the 4th of September, to say goodbye to that space that has been home to the Mount Vernon Library Services for over 70 years, which leads to our next slide, which is that the city's library services will be closing at the end of the day next Friday, September 6th. That will be the public's last opportunity to check out books for about 3 weeks as we close, officially move over to the new facility in time for the ribbon cutting on September 28th and the reopening of services in early October. So if you check out a book on Friday, September 6th, you can hang on to that book for 3 weeks. No need to bring it back. Isaac said earlier today, we are closing for 3 weeks so that we can open our new 100-year facility. So a little bit of an inconvenience, but for long-term benefit. Finally, next Mayor's Coffee event is tomorrow, August 29th at 10 a.m. We'll be up at Hillcrest in the outdoor patio area because the weather's going to be nice. That's attached to Hillcrest Lodge there. So hope you can be there. I'm looking forward to hearing what you are interested in talking about. And that is your mayor's report for August 28th, 2024. Thanks, Steve. And we will move to item D, committee agenda requests. Any committee agenda requests from council tonight? Yes, Councilmember Brocksmith.
The city council members received an email from a stakeholder about housing, a housing question on the requirement for Social Security in housing applications. So I was hoping that we could put that on a committee upcoming.
Great. We get that? We got it. Any other committee agenda requests? All right. Item 6 on the agenda is new business, and under new business, item A is a presentation from Skagit Gleaners, and Special Projects Manager Steve Sexton is here to introduce our guest.
Thank you,
Steve.
Mayor. Good evening, Council. As the Mayor said, we do have a presentation this evening from Skagit Gleaners. We have Morgan Curry here to give us an update on their 2023 CDBG project. And I don't know if we have Commissioner Ron Wiesen with us too. Ron, are you? I'm on the board. You're on the board, so you want to come on up? You can join in here also. I'll turn it over to Morgan.
Welcome, Morgan. Welcome, Commissioner Wiesen.
Good evening, Council and Mayor Peter Donovan. How are you tonight?
Good.
Good. So I'm here to provide an update on the CDBG project that was granted to us last year. It was about a 12-month project that went underway. We completed it fully the funds were spent in May, a little delay in some of the shipment, and then we had to return some pieces of the shipment that came broken. So the project was finally completed near the end of June. So here is an overview of our organization before I go more into the project for those that are not familiar with Skagit Gleaners. So Skagit Gleaners, we are a nonprofit organization in Mount Vernon, Washington. We've been serving Skagit County since the 80s, achieving our 501c3 status in 1988. And our whole mission is to keep abundant food out of the landfill. As such, our mission is to address food waste and its associated impacts on the environment while building an equitable food system. And we do this work through two main buckets. One, we have our traditional member cooperative model that most people are familiar with. So that model is that everyone that uses the services at Skagit Gleaners contributes to the overhead of the organization. Everyone pitches in a nominal donation of $39 a month, and everyone also volunteers at the facility 3.5 hours a month. And in that program, they're able to access our food that we reclaim from the community from various sources such as farms, grocery stores, restaurants, manufacturers, distributors. We make that available to our families who use our services. And then they're also able to access free reclaimed clothing and household items that we claim from a variety of sources in the community as well, including local garage sales, thrift stores, areas like that. And then we also have some targeted migrant programming that's newer to us in the light of the pandemic. So we have a family referral program that essentially waives the membership commitment and nominal donation commitment and the volunteer commitment for migrant farm workers in Skagit County due to disparate wages and agricultural wages. And then we also run a BIPOC farmer collaboration program, which allows us to, when we do purchase supplemental food, to supplement the food that goes to our food rescue efforts, we purchase food exclusively from migrant-owned, small-scale BIPOC farms. BIPOC stands for Black Indigenous People of Color, for those that are unaware. And then we also run a host of cultural relevant food projects and distributions. And then we also run mass food distributions where we're sharing surplus food with local food agencies in Skagit County. Here's a few pictures of our food recovery and rescue program, which is what we're most known for. In 2023, we rescued 1.6 million pounds of food from the community. We had nearly 35,000 visits to our facility. We also served 600 unduplicated households, which equated to be about 1,500 individuals. These are all unduplicated numbers. And then we were able to leverage 24,000 volunteer hours towards the work of our organization. These are some of my favorite pictures of the group. In the middle there, we have a picture of myself out with the team gleaning, hand harvest gleaning, which is what we were founded on, was going out into the farms and gleaning farm fresh food that would have gone to waste in the farm field. And then top right-hand corner is a picture of a sample shop that a member can get at our organization, and they're able to do a shop like that 3 times a week. So typically families are able to get about 120 pounds of groceries of reclaimed food a week for only $39 a month. So we're a great alternative for grocery stores. Into the CDBG proposals. So last year we applied for a capital facilities improvement grant in the amount of almost $37,000, and that was to expand our cold storage space for our fresh food donations. About $32,000 went into that piece of the project, and then we also asked for almost $5,000 to expand storage space for our non-food donations items that go into our free thrift store. And the reason why we needed these additional spaces is because since 2021, we've expanded exponentially. We've almost doubled our membership. When I took over as the executive director in 2019, we had 300 households that we were serving, and now we're at 600. As such, we were having to pay for off-site storage facility, cold storage space, and then storage space to house some non-perishable items as well. We were paying as upwards of $800 a month in some of that rental space, which equated to be about $10,000 a year in that off-site storage space. Some of that storage space was on-site. We were renting a simple box storage container at our facility for the clothing and household donations. And what was also happening was, because we didn't have on-site or easily accessible storage space, we were having to return or refuse some mass donations that were offered to us. We were having to beg other local agencies or nonprofit organizations to share freezer space or cooler space, and we were not able to equitably disperse the product when it did come in mass quantities. It was like, come and get it right now. This is what we have. We don't have space for it. So take it or lose it, and it wasn't a fair way to sustainably disperse the food. And so as I mentioned, with the CDBG dollars, we were able to purchase, initially we were just wanting to get one walk-in cooler and freezer, but the company that we partnered with for this, they gave us a great deal where they were basically going to offer us a price 2 for 1. So we got 2 units, a walk-in cooler and a walk-in freezer. Both are 20 feet, right on the right-hand side there. And then on the bottom left picture there is the picture of our storage space for our clothing and household items donations. As mentioned earlier, the project expanded for approximately 12 months from June 2023 to May 2024. And essentially all that we had to pay for out of our own dollars was about $7,000 to help pay for the cost of that second cold storage space, and then about $5,000 in electrical expenses. And here are some pictures of how we're using the cold storage space. So since June, we've been able to accept 12 pallets of protein fish from Trident Seafoods, safely storing the food, equally dispersing it to families, and sharing it with other food banks. We were also able to receive 10 pallets of ice cream from Safeway. And the reason we got 10 pallets of ice cream from Safeway is because the vendor labeled the ice cream sandwiches as being too messy, and so therefore they could not sell them in the grocery store. So we got all the messy ice cream sandwiches, and we were so happy about that. But I love this picture in the middle here because that was a surprise visit from Tyson Chicken that rolled up with a big semi-truck of food that one of their vendors had rejected for whatever reason. And had we not had these cold storage facility spaces, we wouldn't have been able to accept that load. We were able to get about 6 pallets of chicken from that load, and it went right directly into our cold storage space. We're also able to now receive weekly produce pallets of up to 4 pallets a week from Puget Sound Food Hub from local farmers as well. And next, here are some impact stories from our thrift store. On the right-hand side, this is a picture of the Connex storage space that we have that's housing surplus donations that we got. And you can see all the pictures on the left-hand side are pictures of how we've been able to use those donations and fully stock our clothing and our free clothing and household item thrift store that we have there. So since we've been able to expand our storage space, we've been able to continue our operations of being able to accept donations from a myriad of sources, such as Walnut Tree, Spruced Up, Bargains Galore, and other areas that donate to us. And overall, the impact that this project has had on our organization, first and foremost, it has helped us. It's going to help us save a lot of money. So we're going to be able to take that $10,000 that we were using in operational costs for storage costs, and it's going to be able to be diverted to other staff or program support. We were able to help 1,400 unduplicated individuals now have improved access to our services, 30% of that of which are Hispanic households, and all of those individuals, those 1,400 individuals that now have improved access to our services, are low to moderate income levels, with the vast majority being extremely low or low income levels. In fact, over 1,000 of that 1,400 number belong to extremely low or low income households. And here's my contact information. If you have any questions, you can call or you can email me. Any questions?
Or you can ask now.
Yeah, or that works
Any
too.
questions for Morgan? Morgan, thank you for the work that you're doing at Gleaners. Thanks for how you use the city's CDBG funding and put it right to work. It's pretty awesome. I'm glad you were able to capture ice cream as a result of that. Thank you also for your service on the city planning commission as well. You do a lot for the city. So
Thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Morgan.
Really appreciate the rent for the facility.
Yes. Thank you for only charging us $400 a month.
The city is happy to also provide a spot for the Gleaners. Item 6B tonight is the approval of an agreement amendment with David Evans and Associates, and it looks like Frank Breinert is this item tonight. Hi, Frank.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. The project that I'm coming to talk about tonight is the Carpenter Creek Culvert Replacement Project. So this is a fish barrier culvert that is underneath Hickox Road at the south end of the city. We currently have a design contract with David Evans and Associates to carry forward a design to 30% design. We're doing this through a combination of our own surface water utility funds and a grant partnership that we have with Skagit Fisheries. So the current grant that we are working with Skagit Fisheries and carrying this design forward was awarded us by the Fish Barriers Removal Board, so it's a state grant, and that carries us forward through 30%. The nature of the amendment that I'm bringing for your consideration this evening related to that work scope. So David Evans has carried through their 30% design. They are currently stopped right now as we are waiting for to be able to contract the next set of grant funds, which we were just awarded yesterday. Or rather, Skagit Fisheries was just awarded yesterday. And you'll see that here in the next month or so, that grant amendment kind of passed through, along with a much larger design amendment with David Evans. However, during the process leading up to the 30% design, the city staff authorized David Evans to provide 2 additional out-of-scope services. Typically speaking, my preference is to address the contract mod at the time that we authorize these services, but there was an anticipation between David Evans and the city staff at that point in time that it would balance out. Well, it didn't quite balance out. The 2 out-of-scope services, one of them related to surveying. So the project site is located right next to the Silver Bowman archery range, which is largely a unsupervised or unmanaged archery range. And essentially they needed to have another staff member on site during the surveying to monitor the archery range and keep in touch with the surveyors by radio in order to let them know if anybody showed up to use the range. This cost a certain amount of additional staff time for those couple of days of surveying. In addition, between the cooperation with Skagit Fisheries, we started early engagement efforts with the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife for the purpose of permitting this project to make sure that we captured early any comments they have. Normally, we don't do this until somewhat later in the design process, but again, at the time that this was being done, we didn't quite know how long it might take to get the second part of the grant, so we started those early engagement efforts. The additional efforts that I've just described were offset by cost savings during the rest of the 30% design, but it ended up with a net overage of $2,000, and that represents the contract amendment that I'm bringing to you tonight. So staff is recommending that you authorize the mayor to authorize a contract amendment for $2,000 to increase the current contracts not to exceed cost from $188,446 to $190,446. Is there any questions?
Questions for Frank? Yeah, Navor.
When things like, this is a general question, not maybe specific about this, but when something like this happens, what does that do to our budget?
So in this particular case, I'm sorry, thank you for asking that because I forgot to mention that. So this is within the currently authorized budget for the project. The project has additional funds approved for it because we anticipated continuing the project with the grant and will still do so. The project has been on hold for 2 months, so the last 2 months of pencils down basically generated the last $2,000 in the available budget. However, that does not necessarily affect the contract, and so we still need to execute the amendment. But there is sufficient local funds to address this $2,000 increase. Thank you.
Thanks, Navor. Other questions for Frank? Yes, Councilmember
Well, I
Brooks.
just wanted to go back and recognize the great partnership with the Skagit Fisheries Enhancement Group, and congratulations to that team for the $825,000 from the federal government on coastal resilience planning and replacing these culverts. This set of culverts was identified through a citywide process as our most important next step to do. And it aligns with some of the most important culvert work in Skagit County. So there's a lot of fish being produced in Carpenter Creek, so I'm very appreciative of staff for working on this, and I'm not too worried about the couple $1,000 because I know you guys are managing those budgets really closely and tightly, so thank you.
Thank you for mentioning that. I might add, I did attend the Fish Barrier Removal Board meeting where this was approved, so our particular culvert project was approved unanimously by the subcommittee. There was absolutely no question or doubt in anybody's mind that this project was worthwhile to continue funding the rest of the design of. And it was indicated at that point in time that this culvert project would score highly for future construction funds. So it is generally recognized by the state of Washington as a priority project, not just to finish the design over the course of the rest of this year and a little into next year, but also then for us to be able to pursue funding for construction.
Any other questions for Frank? Any motions for Frank?
A motion that we approve this amendment or, but
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Navora, second by Mary. Any further discussion on this one? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. And the motion to amend the contract passes. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Well, there is no more new business tonight. Item 7. For that item, I will ask City Attorney Kevin Rogerson if there's a need for executive session tonight.
No.
And with that, we will adjourn the Mount Vernon City Council meeting for Wednesday, August 28th, 2024 at 7:42 PM.